When I think of power, I think of it in terms of the self. Now, I think everybody else does too when you regard the three major conflicts. Conflict between the self, or the conflict that would be man versus the self, or conflict of man versus others, and the other conflict of man versus nature. The three major conflicts, you can look upon power in those terms and say the power that one has over oneself, the ability to persuade oneself to overcome any of the temptations that may put him at risk, let's say, put him in danger. Usually power has something to do with that specifically because, well, we don't want to stay alive. Now, man versus others, the power to have others do your bidding, or the power to keep others from forcing you to do their bidding. Which one would be better? The power of force or the power of persuasion? In the case of dealing with others, I would think the power of persuasion would be much greater than the power of brute force, because as an individual, my brute force is not going to overcome great numbers. Whereas if I have the power of persuasion over many others, that could create a great deal of physical power in itself, the power of force, if you can persuade others to do your bidding. You can't force them to do your bidding. So the power of persuasion in that instance seems to have much greater a much higher outcome, a much more desirable outcome than would be the power of brute force of the individual. Ultimately, it still amounts to the power of brute force, because you can persuade others to act on your behalf. The great numbers act as a force to be reckoned with. But it's still the power of persuasion, so the mind seems to have great influence, a great power. Now, when it comes to man versus nature, I once heard, and forgive me for not knowing the name of the person who the quote comes from, that nature, in order to be commanded, must be obeyed. So there's an interesting thought too. In order to obey nature, it basically means that one must understand nature in order to use its own nature to your benefit. So the power of the mind still comes to play there, as opposed to the power of brute force. You can't make nature do what it cannot do or will not do. Try to make a river run upstream. Lots of luck. Yes. Interesting concept. Sorry if this proves to be rather unsatisfactory. Short notice attempt. I don't have much time right now. Thanks. Bye now.